What's up, everybody? This is Greg Horry, here with another episode of Once It Clicked, where I have the privilege to chat with makers and innovators in the mechanical keyboard community. This week, I share my conversation with a passionate individual, Julien of Dreadkeys. From his journey becoming a chef and navigating the restaurant industry to establishing himself as an artisan keycap maker, Julien shares his story and many of his ideas and values in this episode. We cover topics such as competition among peers while also collaborating with other creators. We dive deep into the minutiae of his resin casting process, and we unpack the idea of writer's block while experimenting with a purpose. One idea I loved in particular was how Julien looks for inspiration outside of his immediate medium to tap into his own creativity. It was really refreshing for me to hear Julien share his perspective, so I'm excited to share with all of you. Please enjoy. Yo, what's up, Julien?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing
for
good.
having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for making the time to talk. I'm excited to chat today since, as I mentioned before we started recording, I've watched your growth since you first started sharing, which was a little bit over a year ago. And I actually have been fortunate enough, thanks to a mutual friend, to hold one of your dread caps in hand, which was the GMK Deku commission, where you did some super sick splatter, and I was really impressed.
Right, I forgot Nathan sent you that one for. I mean, what was it for? Because you did a commission for him, right?
It was so I could try and match the Deku colorway, because color matching is so challenging for me.
Yeah, it seems to be like the general consensus, like with most makers that I talk to, like color matching seems to be like the. I mean, I don't think it's struggle, but the more challenging, I will say.
I feel that. And maybe we can get into that. Well, we definitely can get into that later.
Mm-hmm.
To begin, just a simple question. How's quarantine been treating you, man?
Oh, man. I mean, it started pretty shit, right? So, I mean, like, it's kind of crazy when you think about it, right? 2020, I remember us, I don't know when it started hitting you guys, but like for us here, it was March 15. I always remember the date because we had a gigantic wedding ceremony at the restaurant like the week after. Normally we had it was a group of like 70 or something like that we had to do. And then like on the 15th, the government is like, yeah, like we're shutting down restaurants, we're shutting down this, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, like it's takeout only. So like, basically like, you know, like the restaurant I used to work at was a place where, you know, like we had an open kitchen. We were very close to the customer. So I had been working there as a chef for 3 years. And it's like, you know, like in the blink of an eye, you went from doing like a busy lunch service where I talk to like people all the time and it's like busy and you have noise everywhere and like action to like you're alone behind a plexi, like print, like getting billed printed like from Uber Eats and like trying to do what you like to do, which is like good ass food and like pretty food and like make it not look like it's dog shit when it like arrives to the customer 30 minutes later.
Oh yeah.
You know, like, and I mean like that was a fun challenge, like in the beginning. And then like many others in my field, my former field, but in the restaurant industry, I lost my job right around the middle of summer. My boss were like, yeah, like, I don't know how we're going to survive. We need to cut salaries, blah, blah, blah. Being the chef and being the most paid in the business, I was the first one to go. And yeah, so that kind of set the tone a little bit for 2020. And And yeah, so I took like 3 months. I took 3 months off. My wife too, and we just like kind of like looked at our options. She started working again back in September. I also finally found a job like in another restaurant in September, but then that was the beginning of another story. But like that's around like July or August when I wasn't like on a break during like quarantine. That's when I actually started like thinking about doing like artisans. So I mean, I had thought about it like the summer before. Like in 2019, I was like, oh, that could be like super fun. But then I was like, oh, I need to buy a pressure pot. I need to buy this. I need to buy that. And it just seemed like a big hassle that I wasn't ready to go through back then. But then I just needed like something, like the restaurant wasn't really like allowing me to be like as creative as I used to be, mostly because of the like the situation and everything. Like you have almost no customers, so it's not like you can go crazy and buy a bunch of different like ingredients to try new things. You're kind of writing more and being like, oh, okay, so how can I not make them lose that much money this week, kind of thing, which is a bit depressing.
Yeah.
So I decided to buy the whole shebang to start making cap. It was for fun, honestly. Like, I mean, like probably everybody that starts making cap, like, I'm sure some people go in there thinking they can run this as a business, but that's not how I got into it at first. I just wanted to make stuff, basically. And like the medium to me has always been a little bit irrelevant. So yeah. And then after that, well, I don't know how you guys were in San Francisco, but all winter we were under curfew up here in Montreal. So past 8:00, we were not allowed to be outside of our homes and stuff, unless you had like specific like credentials that allowed you to be outside, kind of thing. And I don't know, like that just like pushed me like kind of deeper into a state where I wasn't really happy with my job anymore. Like, and every day kind of seemed a bit more difficult than the one before. And I don't know, like the only thing that seemed to like keep me going back then was actually making caps, because back in like February, that's when people maybe started noticing a little bit what I did. Like before that, it wasn't like really like anything crazy, but like in February, that's when I kind of saw like people might be interested. And then like next thing you know, I'm in May, and I'm like, damn, like I could do this for a living. I mean, at least for now. I'm like, maybe not like for like the next 10 years. I don't know. Who knows where things will be? But like for now, it seemed like a much needed change. Honestly, like it's been a blast. Like I'm super happy. I'm much happier doing what I'm doing right now than I was than I was at the end in the restaurant industry. Like I'll always like love cooking, but I think I was at a point where I needed something different.
Yeah. Julien, you definitely just set the menu with so many options to explore, and I'm eager to hear about the transition into your former job as a chef and then going on to artisans. Before that, I'm curious, you mentioned there's this transition where you felt like as you were working in the restaurant industry as a chef, you weren't able to express the same amount of creativity, both with the impact of COVID, where you had these fewer options since your clientele and the way you shared your craft shifted a lot. Before that, tell me the story about how you became a chef and where that interest came from.
Okay, that's cool. I wasn't expecting that question. And man, like to be honest, it goes back far. I mean, the first time I thought I wanted to be a chef was back in 2009. So in 2009, I'd been working like like the odd like a dishwasher, prep cook, and whatnot, like a job at like a local restaurant. But I enjoyed it. Then in 2009, some friends and I decided we were going out west for the summer, so we went to Whistler, in British Columbia, all the way on the west coast. And at the place I worked actually as a busboy. I was not in the kitchen, but I worked as a busboy for a restaurant that back then was in the top 10 of Canada's like best tables, called Araxi. And the chef there, James Wall.
How do you spell that?
Araxy. I think I believe it's Greek, but like, don't hold me to that.
Fair enough. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. So that's kind of where, because that was my first sort of like real like look into more of a high-end restaurant, like what it looked like, what the kitchen looked like, what the food looked like. And I remember being mesmerized. Like they would receive like, because I would work twice a week. I would work the lunch shift, and that's usually when the fishermen came in, like in the morning when we were setting the tables and stuff. The fishermen came in with like the catch of the day, and like they just walked in the kitchen and dropped like freaking like 4 feet long flétan. What's a flétan? It's hold on.
A 4 foot long fresh fish.
Oh, halibut.
Yeah.
Oh, man, like they would arrive at some time. They were like gigantic. We had a 2 meter squid too once, like a giant squid.
Oh.
Yeah, that was nuts. So like, and I don't know, like there was a bunch of stuff like this place was amazing for that, is because Whistler is in this weird alcove where it's a bit north of Vancouver. There's like a huge of like farmland up north. They call it there's actually a place called the Northern Farm, which was one of the providers, I believe, that they worked a lot with. And then there was a lot of there's a couple of fishing towns in the area. So like you have access to like an insane amount of like amazing products, and like on top of that you have the foraging from like people in the region and stuff, like guys like walking in with like bags of fresh morels that they picked in the mountains. It was great. So I would say that's where I woke up and I was like, okay, I want to do this.
Yeah.
I remember that morning very well, where I kind of was like, I called my mom. I was like, okay, like I'm coming back. I'm going to cooking school, because I wanted to become an architect at first. That's the first thing I wanted to do. I wanted to become an architect, and then I decided to not at all become an architect. But like, yeah. And then my mom told me like stories. So apparently when I remember it now that she said it, but I've never really seen it that way before. But like my interest for cooking has kind of always been there. Like my mom cooks a lot. My grandmother cooked a lot. My dad cooks a lot too. Like everybody in my family cooks, and they all cook pretty well in general. Like my mom's cooking is amazing. And when I was younger, maybe like 14 years old, I had picked like blueberries at my aunt cottage.
Yeah.
And then I brought everything back home, made like pie crust like from scratch, made pies, and then I was like selling the pies to like my aunts.
Yo, yeah.
Yeah. So like, I think the seed to work in the restaurant industry was there from a young age.
I have to ask, when you were working originally as a dishwasher and prep cook,
yeah,
were you on track becoming an architect, or was that an idea you had to pursue?
No, I was not on track, because I was 15, 16 back then. It was more of an idea, I think. So here in Quebec, we have 5 years of high school, and then we do 2 years of something that they call cégep. Then cégep is like a 2 years. it's a 2-year program that's like preparation for like university. It's like in the English, like in the English parts of Canada, they do, I believe, 6 years of high school, and then they do an extra year of university, like a year, like a pre-grad or something. I think that they do. Us, well, they cut 1 year of each and do that like in its own thing. But usually when you finish high school, you go to cégep, and then that's where you kind of have to choose your path, sort of.
Oh.
So if you want to go, want to be a doctor, you have to take the science program. So you'll do like a bunch of like prerequisites for like maths and physics and chemistry and whatever. Then you can go and choose like humanities, and then like read about like psychology, sociology, and whatnot, to go more into those fields, the social studies and whatnot. And then you have art. That's also an option. And I believe they do music, like oriented programs too. Although those usually you'll go to like dedicated like schools for that. But like, so when I was like a prep cook and like a dishwasher or a busboy, I mean, I was doing my sciences because I wanted to become an architect, and architecture is technically bound, at least the university. I was like to the engineering departments most of the time, so you have to do your sciences. And oh man, I found it like horrible. It's like I've never been bad at academic studies, but I need like action, like and something that drives me, like creativity or something, like and that wasn't doing it for me. I realized that pretty young. So yeah, so no, to answer your question, I was not like actively becoming an architect. I never actively tried to become an architect. Actually, it was merely like an original idea. You know, like when you're in high school and they ask you like, what do you want to be when you're old? I was like, I want to be an architect.
Yes.
I also wanted to become an archaeologist at some point, but then my dad made me understand pretty quick that this was not an easy path in life.
The reality check.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's cool. But like being an archaeologist is not like being Indiana Jones. I was like, oh no, fuck, I don't want to be that then.
I'd like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, exactly, right? That seems so much cooler. So
you make this trip with your friends to Whistler and have this newfound desire, this idea to pursue becoming a chef, and then you decide to go to cooking school. Did you immediately enroll?
Yeah. I came back and I started like right away, like that September. I was like, screw cégep, screw this. Like, I'm not finishing the program. I want to do this, and I went to cooking school that year. And like, I don't know, like it felt right. Like back then, like it was amazing. I have a big attention deficit disorder, and it was one of the first time where I didn't have to actually actively take my pills and still be able to excel. Kind of. So it kind of felt like it was a bit more like tailored toward like what I was good at, which ultimately is, I mean, you'll see like my entire life kind of revolves around like art and making stuff, like in general, like all spheres of like either my careers or hobby as have like some form of like creative aspect to them.
Wait, just to dive a little bit deeper, what was it about the experience in cooking school that grabbed your attention and kept you interested?
Well, I was pretty lucky because I had been a prep cook, and I think like many other people, when I'm a very intense person, and when I start looking into something, like I go all in. So like I'll sleepless night of like binging and reading books and like teaching myself like everything I can learn like by myself. Like I'll usually do that, and I'll usually do it in like a week. And like so I get there. I mean, arguably already better than most of my classmates. Then again, like
You have the experience.
I mean, I don't think I was really like I knew how to use a knife. Like that's basically it. Like the rest was more like knowledge. You know, like you're young, you think you know everything. Like kind of attitude. And I had a French teacher from France, and that guy was a hard ass. He made me understand so fast that I didn't know anything. But that like he would teach me basically like so that was super cool. I love that teacher, and if it wasn't for him, I would probably have not finished cooking school because the program was so freaking easy that it was like mind-blowingly boring. like learning how to do soups and basics and stuff. Like I was already like, oh, I was like, yeah, but like spherification, like all these like molecular gastronomy things, that looks cool. And they're like, yo, like you don't even know how to do that. I was like, well, I kind of know already. So like they it was me and another guy in my class. We would always do everything that we needed to do for the program and finish it as early as possible, and then they would teach us other stuff on top that were not part of the program. So we would do like extra like activities while the rest of the class catched up. So that's probably what kept me going through cooking school, and also probably what made it like such a memorable experience, because it was really great.
I hear that. It's the combination of both the teacher who pushed you and gave you the ego check, along with your classmate who
It's okay to give the ego check to people, man. Like sometimes you just like it's out of proportion. Like there's nothing wrong with it, but I mean, I don't know. I don't mind it. You know, like sometimes people like think, you know, like if you're starting, like I know as a chef, like especially more in like in my younger days, but you know, like you just got the position. It's like the first time you're at the top of the food chain, you know, right? And like then everybody that challenges you, you're like you want to fight them, you know, you want to fight them, you want to fight people over everything. And then like a couple years down the road, you realize that like who gives a shit? Like let like the youngster have their opinions and stuff. Like realistically, you're the only person that will like put how do you say that? C'est bâton dans les roues. Bâton dans les roues is like put a stick in the wheel. If I translate it literally. Roadblocks, I think it would be probably like you're the only person that are like you're the only one that's responsible for your own roadblocks in anything that's creative. You know, it's not somebody else's work, right? Like, or at least I think it's very pretentious to think that if something doesn't work for you, it's because of somebody else.
Yes, it's like taking responsibility for your own actions and potential consequences.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, not every dish that I made that I love were received like positively, and sometimes there's been dishes like that I strongly disagreed about, like what some critics said about, and in the end, you disagree with it like in the action because of the ego, and then 6 months later, you're like, yeah, I mean, he wasn't wrong. All criticism is good so long as it's constructive, right? Sometimes that's also something that people forget about.
Like but honoring the perspective,
right? Like especially in something that's like that's as subjective as art. You know, like I can understand like people as with food, you know, like I am a big fan. Like I use a lot of vinegar in my food. Like I use a lot of like I play a lot with like acidity, and I know that's not for everyone. So there was time where I was like, okay, well, like I already know like that critic is not gonna like this dish, like from the get go. I know because like that person doesn't enjoy that kind of food, and she chose exactly something that's like the opposite of what she enjoys. So I'm like, fuck, I'm screwed. But then I don't know. It's okay. Like you cannot please everyone. Like and you have to accept that and live with that. That it is impossible to please 100% of the people. Like it is not.
Especially with
the initial point.
No, we were just vibing, especially with the variety in palettes and what people like. I think that's a direct lesson to take away from.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there's a lot of parallels to be made from like kitchen work and restaurant work to actually like making cap. At least maybe from a chef position, but even from a cook position, there's a lot of things that I know I can do mostly because of my experience as a chef. Like, I don't.
Can you give an example?
Yeah. I mean, like, obviously, I'm talking off of like a very small sample of actual like facts, but like from the people I talk with, there's not that many makers that like people don't really work fast. Is my understanding, and I think people would be extremely surprised to see how fast I actually work. Like it's pretty insane because like I'm so used to like like picking the microgreens with the tweezer, and then you have to place them all at the same spot, and then you have 12 plates to go in a row, and then this goes out, and then you refresh the pass, and you keep going.
So on the clock, time demand.
Exactly right. So I'm used to doing like very precise, small, like precise like movements. So like for me, taking the syringe and then just like dropping it and like dropping it into like the mold, into the right spot, I can just go like bing bang, pap, 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 pap. Like I feel like I do 12 set of teeth on takeover in one go, to give you an idea, and they're not easy. They're not easy. But I can do 12. I don't think I could make more than that. Like after that, the resin just gets too thick. But like, I kind of work fast, and I think this like comes from mainly from like the kitchen, I would say, because you're used to like working quickly. Like you're always working against a clock, and like working with resin is kind of the same. Like you have a clock. Like the moment you mix your two parts, you're on the clock, right?
Yeah.
So depending on what you use, like I don't know what kind of resin do you use actually?
I use two different kinds mainly.
Yeah.
One is 326 smooth cast,
Yeah, I love
which
that.
has I think maybe 10-minute working time.
Yeah, it's around 10. I think it's 9.
Then I use Alumilite Water Clear, which is a lot more forgiving with I think 15, depending on the temperatures.
Yeah. So I have similar choices. I use 326, mostly everything, I would say. I just love it, and in the winter I get like almost 20 minutes of pot life, like and I also stretch my pot life like quite a bit. Like I can cast 25 minutes into a mix of 326 and still be able to like probably like I cannot do everything once it's this thick, but there are specific things like especially like the teeth on takeover are much easier to cast when the resin is like almost a bit too thick, because it just blobs and it sticks instead, so it doesn't want to pool all over the place.
Overflow or spill.
Yeah, and then I use Alumilite clear for everything. So not water clear, but just the basic clear. I think it's 7-minute pot life. but they advertise it as 7 minutes, but that thing is never cured. Like Alumilite stuff is never cured by the time it's actual. Like 326, I find that, because obviously like in the data sheet, right, like all of the resin that we use, like the timings are like for a 100 gram of resin at like 23C, right? So it's normal that it doesn't take like the exact same amount of time, but I find that 326 is usually pretty much ready after an hour, like almost, unless it's very cold. But like if you have like a regular like temperature shop, like after an hour is good. Alumilite, it always takes like freaking 3 hours. I don't know why it takes so long.
I've had the same experience with Alumilite water clear, where I need to add typically like an hour buffer.
Yeah,
I think what it says maybe an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. Cure time, which typically, like even then, on the safe side,
you'll do like 2.5. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so okay, I'm not crazy then, or I didn't get a bad batch. So it seems that Alumilite product do take a bit more time.
Definitely had to learn the hard way, ruining a few batches.
Oh, dude, man, I remember the first one that I did. I just opened the mold and it was like. Like it just like stretched like mozzarella, and I was like, "Oh god!"
Yes,
I was like, "Rip."
Not solid at all. Yes.
Yeah, no, not at all. I was like, "Well, that needs a lot more time."
Back to it.
Yeah, but I like I like Alumilite Clear for resin writing. Actually, I think I find it mixes really nicely with the filler. Like it's like nice and smooth, and yeah, I don't know. It works very well, and also the fact that it cures so slowly also allows you to draw with it like for like a super long time. Like I can resin write like for close to like 30 minutes.
Oh.
With like the same pot. That obviously probably is helped with the current temperature of where I work, but still. So I like it very much for that and marbling. Because it's thicker.
We kind of spoke about this before we started recording. Do you use any vacuum or heat for your resin?
So no vacuum, but I do have a heating belt on the pressure pots, like the pail heater. I'm sure, like the brown like belt with like the thermostat on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got that under the recommendation of Fractal Cap. When I started doing my first end caps, because he gave me the good rundown of how to make proper encapsulations, and then I went on to obviously not listening to any recommendation, like every good person would do, and then realizing that I should have, and went and listened the actual recommendations.
Yes.
No, but to be fair, the heating belt is clutch. Like I love that thing. It speeds. It's not even a question of it speeding the process, but the fact that my caps come out fully cured right away, like that's so good because you can go like right to finishing and like sanding and whatever you have to do. Like sometimes I do some post like. I'll do like fills with like resin after the caps are casted. And yeah, so heating belt, definitely a yes. Vacuum, I'm sure I could probably use one, but like the use case seems so low that I haven't pulled the trigger on that. That'd be interesting. I know Glenn, like the glyph. I know he recommended me getting one for anything that involves thickener, but I haven't so far.
Well, it seems like you've been able to still get by, to say the least, without the vacuum pump. And,
yeah.
I mean, shout outs to both Fractal and Glyph. You just shared some big names. Would you be able to share the bullet point list of a Fractal told you for end caps?
I'm not sure if he. I mean, so that kind of touches like a different subject. In general, I like to like I like to share like my knowledge and stuff, so long as it's knowledge that I acquired either by my own testing kind of thing. I've been sort of like I understand that like not everybody in the not everybody in the hobby or the industry looks at this like the same way, and I try to respect everybody's views. Like I'm not sure if Fractal would want me sharing it, so I rather not, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say though that Obi is very open to sharing his thing. So if people want to actually learn like about endcaps, like I would strongly suggest them like reaching out to him. And I mean, like, I can't guarantee that I cannot guarantee that he's gonna like tell you anything, but
yeah, I hear that.
Like, I think that would be the fair thing.
To rephrase the question, are you heating your resin after you mix it and before you mix it?
Okay, so I mean, we can go into I can make my bullet point list of what I found worked and didn't work, right? Like without going into too many details. So I don't heat my resin before. I also never I only heat partway through the body shot. And the explanation for that is that I find that while I know it works for some people, it hasn't worked for me. Maybe it's because I don't vacuum my resin, or maybe it's because I stir too vigorously or whatever. Like there's plenty of reasons that could like introduce bubbles. But I find that when I put 326 in the pot with the heating belt, I heat mine. It depends. Like Aluminite clear, I like to heat at like 80 C. I think like 80, 85 is usually like pretty like rock solid within like an hour or two. And then 326, like 60, 70 C is usually plenty. Like it'll speed up like the process enough so that it's like hard as a brick when like when it comes out. But then if you do this, at least if I do this, like right from the start, let's say like I put the final shot in the pot, pressurize it, and then start the heat, then I'll usually end up with a bunch of bubbles because the heat makes it bubble, like it makes the resin activate faster, right? So it's gonna want to bubble, but then it's gonna set too fast, so the bubbles don't have time to escape. So what I found worked better was I usually put my things and I put a timer for 30 minutes, and then after 30 minutes I start the heat. And so far, I mean, like it seems to work a lot better that way.
Yeah,
I was done with my point.
Yeah, I've heard several people recommend different strategies using vacuum and heat and heating various times. And I'm curious. I've been hesitant to pull the trigger on a heating mat or belt. But I think it could help a lot, especially just being able to increase or rather decrease the cure times.
Yeah. Like I said, like I don't think the vacuum is something that's necessary. At least personally, like I'm sure some more qualified people would maybe like find me a use case where I see it's like legitimate to spend the money on it. But like a heating belt, I think they're like $50 in the States or something. I think it's like 100% worth it. Like that, like that's like the main thing that I've been recommending to everybody that's been asking me, like, okay, so I have a pressure pot, I have this, I have that, like what else do I need? Like I was like, heating belt, like all the way.
What brand heating belt do you use?
I can send you the link of what I have.
Okay.
It's a very generic.
Yeah, I'm just thinking to be able to include it in the show notes.
Yeah.
For other people who are interested. I guess we kind of got into the weeds with talking casting and resin, which may have been inevitable. I want to go back. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so just it was bound to happen.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, again, I'm just eager. I'm just appreciate to be able to riff with you today, Julien. Well, going back, I was curious to ask about this transition between going from your experience as a chef when you got hit by the impact of COVID, where you had a huge restriction to your ability to practice and create, when you started thinking about going into artisans. And you mentioned that you were practicing and you bought your equipment around like 2019 and then started making, and you received this positive feedback. And I wanted to ask if you could tell me about the moment you decided to pursue keycaps full time.
I didn't exactly start making in 2019. So I've been in the keyboard hobby since like late 2017, I think, is like when I first started like poking around like keycap and whatnot. And then I didn't get into artisan until the next summer. But even like the next summer, I was more like as a like, whoa, like this is so cool kind of thing. And I remember, I think it was Poison Summer 2 back then. That was like the first, that was my introduction to artisan, was through Nightcap Poison Summer.
Yes.
And I was like, holy shit, this is so sick. I remember telling my wife, I was like, look at this, like this is nuts. Like it's so small. Like how crazy is that? You know, so that was like the first time. But then again, you know, like cook salary, I didn't have like a lot of disposable income to like blow like I mean, back in the day they probably were not that expensive, but it still seemed like a lot of money. Because I don't think during Poison Summer 2 that the keycaps were like $80. They were probably cheaper. I don't remember exactly, but anyhow. So that's how I was like, okay, this is cool. And then next summer, 2019, we were on this road trip through Quebec for summer vacation, and like that's when I started entering some raffles. So that's when I had like my first wins from Golden Star Cap. I think was my first win, or it might have been low key. I think it was low key actually. Yeah, I won one of his 4th of July boo, kid boo. Yeah. So I think that was my first win. I still have those cap. I mean, I still have all of my cap. I don't trade. I don't really trade. I had to sell some of the stuff that I had last summer after losing the job. Like I used to have more, but I've kept most of like what was meaningful in a way. And then nowadays, like the only cap that I have are the ones that I get from like trades, or I try to pay it forward with like new makers and like enter sales every now and then. I haven't done it in a while though, so maybe I should put that back on my list. Things to do. But yeah. So transition. So it took another year basically after that. After I started. And then I think I told you that too, but like I got one of your tiki. I think it was a B stock sale. Did you used to do B stock sale like a couple of years ago? Like I think it was like your early days.
To be honest, I think it may have just been my quality was so shit that you happened to get a B stock in the main. Because I remember
that's not what I meant.
No, that's fair. I'm just being honest. I remember the first raffles I have. Looking back, those caps had no business being shipped out.
I look at mine and I think the same, right? Like I look like sometimes like people will like send me a message of like the OG, like the first one. They're like, because it's not on the archivist. So they're like, is this one like really from you? And I'm like, yep.
Yes, yes.
I'm like, yeah, it's not my best work. I apologize for that.
Yes, that would be me. That would be me.
I still have that cap though.
Mm.
It's a monochrome. It's a black and white.
Oh, okay. You know, maybe let's see. Yeah, it was probably that time. Sorry, go on.
No, man. So right. So 2019. That's where I started like looking at all of this like a bit more. And I was like, it's cool, but busy life, busy job, no time really. So I was like, and I have a tendency, my wife will tell you that, to buy stuff for my hobby and then not have time to use them. So that was one of the things where I was kind of scared. I was like, okay, so I'm going to spend that money, but then like what happened if I never use it, I never do anything with it. And then it took an entire year and being jobless to have the time. And actually I was like, it was after a discussion. It was a little bit after, I think it was KeyCon 2020, the one that was held online. There was a bunch of panels like artisans and stuff. I think Armandis was hosting this. And I remembered Bludgeon Cap saying that he had like that he had paid like for a consultation with Binge, I think, or something. And I was like, okay, like, because like I didn't know where to start. I didn't know like where to look. I didn't know what to buy. I didn't know anything. I didn't know of Zbot back then. So I was like, I'll reach out and we'll see. And then as I was like in discussion with Binge, like I somehow like got into like talking with like with the Glyph, with Glenn basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know. I just ghosted Binge. I'm sorry. I never wrote to him again. I'm a terrible person.
It happens.
Then I got into Zbot, and I mean, like, even like a year ago, the community of makers was insane, and now it's grown like probably like double, like in this last year. And yeah, right. Like after that, the rest is sort of history. Like I started making caps, and then at some point, it just didn't financially like really made sense anymore to like to like work like two jobs. Like the amount of time it was taking from me. Like I was basically like running a restaurant full time, and then I'd come home, cast like until 1-2 in the morning, and then wake up in the morning, start again, like it was getting a bit crazy. And like the restaurant being like closed and everything, because like that's another part that I didn't talk about. That like the restaurant, I had been hired in September of 2020. Super, honestly, like super good people, good concept, good everything. Like I do wish them like the best, but like the takeout thing killed me. And then like when we came back in January, they just basically fired everyone except me and the manager. And then we were kept on reduced payroll, but we had to do like odd jobs for months. Like we helped like on the construction site, we organized stuff, and like, oh man, like it felt so bad. Like I've never, like in my entire life, I have never wanted to like not be there. Like I'm usually pretty much like I'm a workhorse. Like I'll go, like I live at work kind of thing, almost like normally. And then every time I walked in like for work, I just wanted to be out. I was like, I don't want to be here right now. Like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Construction work sounds outside the job description a little bit.
Yeah, it's not even like it was fun construction work, like you're not like fucking drilling through concrete trying to hook shit up because you don't have the cards for that. So like you're like mopping the floor and like passing the vacuum cleaner and like it sucked. Like you paint like the bottom of the walls, things like that. So yeah, that wasn't for me. And then there's a huge, huge labor shortage in the restaurant industry. I think it's the same in the States too. I don't think it's something that's very like specific to where I'm from. I think nowadays, most of the younger people, they don't want, like, because the kitchen life, it's a tough life, right? Like you really have to like want to be there, kind of do that because it's a tough job. You're standing on your feet all day. It's warm, it's hot. There's a pressure. Then there's the pressure from service. Then there's the pressure from your boss. And then when you're the boss, there's the pressure from the customers and the pressure from the critics. And then, like it's super nerve wracking. And like, so the kids these days, they don't really want to do that. Like they don't want to go to work and like fucking get yelled at like 4 or 5 times during the day, which, I mean, to be fair, I do agree that that it should not be that way. Although I am guilty of having treated staff that way over the years, but like it's not something that I'm proud of. But anyway, so it makes it so that it was very difficult to find staff for the restaurants even before the reopenings, and it was just like, in the end, it was just so many headaches that I didn't want to deal with anymore. And I was in a place where I basically made roughly like the same salary as I was making. So I figured like I would just keep one job basically and focus on myself a little bit. And honestly, so far, like, like, obviously it's a bit stressful at time, but it's nowhere near like the amount of like stress that I used to have, which is a nice change. And I get to see my friends on the weekend. Like, yeah, I have a life, sort of.
Working full time, running the restaurant, hearing all with external and internal pressures of meeting the demands of the customer, the client, the critics, and then even what you have for yourself, that makes a lot of sense. And on top of that, coming home to want to create keycaps and explore that is a huge demand. So I hear you when you're saying it was this. I hear you when you're sharing your transition from going to keycaps as the main focus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, it's okay. Actually, I should listen to your questions before starting to talk.
Oh no, this is so freeform. It's not even a problem, Julien. You just, feel free.
I was just about to say. I don't even remember anymore. It's okay.
If it comes back, just cut me off. She's like, no, stop.
Perfect.
I was just curious. This might be diving in. Well, I'm just curious. When you were starting out, you mentioned you were doing your research. You found keycap, and then this recommendation for binge, and then ultimately the glyph and Z-But.
Yeah.
Did you find any resources in particular to be helpful?
I mean, okay. So at first, when I was I got onto keycap through looking how to make custom cables. That's how I first. I'd seen a picture. I think it was like probably like on Pinterest or Instagram back then, like of a gaming setup, and I was like, oh shit, like this guy, like, and it was early days. Like now they didn't have like the fancy connectors back then, but like I was like, damn, that looks dope. I want to. And then you go into the website of like the person that makes them, and you're like $90. Like I can make that. That's kind of how I see things. That's usually why I have I make so much stuff is that I'll usually go like, okay, I could spend $2,000 on a table, or I could make it. And then to me, the idea of making it is so much more fun. Like, it's not even about saving money. It's just about doing it. Like, it's cool. I like it. Like, I do a lot of woodworking. I paint. I draw. I dabble with 3D, although I am very useless at that. That's one thing that I'm not very. It's not my thing. I'm better with the actual clay for sculpting. I applaud the people that use ZBrush. I don't understand how they do it. Like, that freaking software.
Different medium.
That software is a freaking nightmare. It's so bad. But like, I digress. Anyway, so yeah, once again, I went on a tangent and I forgot the initial.
Just getting started, if there were anything that was specifically or particularly helpful, just looking for like a new maker or starting out fresh.
Well, okay. So, well, I'm 100% sure that binge would have been helpful. Although I mean, since I kind of like let him out to dry, I cannot say anything about that. But ZBut is 100%. I mean, it's just, I feel like ZBut, like, especially with like, there's a lot of makers, you have to filter probably a lot of the information, because like there's a lot of like talk about the same subjects with like a bunch of different ideas on each subjects. So I think as long as you're, anyway, I think if you're getting into keycaps, you have like you need like that sort of drive to want to try things, just test stuff. Like that's like the main thing I answer everyone, like, what is your one like number one like tip to new maker? Experiment. Like just experiment. Like, I can tell you I use like a cheapo pipette to do my splatter. I can show you how to do it, but you still need to try it. Like, you still need to play with it. Like, you need to figure out, because like, especially with things like, sometimes people are very specific with questions. Like, I don't know if they're like this when people ask you questions too, but they'll be like, they want like specific timings and stuff. And I'm like, I mean, I can give them to you, but like, it's fucking -20 here. You're living like fucking like in Texas or something. Like,
yes.
My timings won't work. Like, It might. Like, I don't know. It might work. It might be like your timings may be like twice as fast. Like, I don't know.
I like that. Just inspiring them to, or encouraging them to experiment and learn for themselves. And
also, as a general rule, kind of answer better to people that do try stuff. It feels a little bit less like just like, tell me what you know, kind of deal. Which, I mean, like, whatever. Like, I don't mind. I'll usually still answer either way, but I like when people experiment, because usually when people experiment, sometimes they'll find a solution to a problem that I didn't even thought about, and they'll be like, yo, I did this and it worked. And I was like, dude, that's a fucking good idea. Like, like, when you try things, that's when you discover new ways of doing something, like, or I don't know, you just like, like you do the minute like modifications to what someone told you, and it gives a completely different result, and you're like, damn, this is cool.
Yeah, I hear that.
So experiment.
And I see that in the progression of your work, where looking back, you started with more minimalistic multi-shots with your dread cap, and then you steadily evolved to, like you said, splatter. There's the resin writing, you have marbling, there's end caps, tope, the list goes on. And
then it devolved into madness.
It evolves whatever direction. I'm curious to ask, how do you choose which new methods you want to explore?
I don't have a specific set of rules, but I usually get bored fast of things. So that'll usually be it. I'll be like doing a cap and I'm like, man, this is so fucking boring. Like, what can I do to like spice it up? And then that's when I'll try a bunch of random stuff. Sometimes it's like caps that inspire me too. You know, like I think the Dread Red Rum was like one of the first, like the first cap that was like, I remember I had like 78 entries for that. It was unheard of for me back then. Like, I think like the closest I had been to like that before was like, oh, actually, no, I'm lying. I'm totally like, what? No, okay, no, that came after. Right. No, I'm okay, I'm not lying. I was about to say I'm lying, but like, no, the cinnamon roll came later. Like before that, like I think the most entry I've had was maybe like 30, 28 thing, which I mean, like, back then I was mind blown that there was like 30 people that actually cared, you know? And like, and it's, I mean, and it's nuts that it is where it is today. But like, I think Red Rum was the first one that like people got like, oh, damn, this is cool. And that initial idea came from the Punisher robot. I was like, how did he do that? And then I love to like try and reverse engineer like how people do things, because like obviously I didn't reach out to Bro to ask him how he did it. I mean I doubt he would have answered me. Well, although he might, I don't like, again, I don't know the guy, but I would assume he's pretty busy. So, and like I would not fault him for like not having the time. But then I was like, this is a cool idea. How can I do it? Like, how do I think he did it? So that's what I set out to do. And then it was like, I'm pretty sure there's a clear layer of resin, and then that he resin writes like the skull underneath. Like that part to me seemed pretty cookie cutter. Like that's what he had done. But I mean, I didn't know back then. Like I had never done it. I never tried it. So it was all new. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And I had no idea if it would look cool on like my cap. It might have looked like trash. And then it turned out it looks super cool. And then that gave me the idea for the altered ego, which is the end cap with the skull. Because I was like, that would be so sick if I actually sculpted a skull and like end capped it into like the dread sculpt. And that's how that one came to be.
See, it's a combination of noticing when you're not as excited and then pursuing things that stimulate that or drive that.
Yeah, I think like when you experiment and you try stuff, it's to experiment with a purpose, right? Like it's very important, because it's easy to just experiment and just waste so much time, like not like learning or like finding anything new, you know, like when you set out to experiment with a purpose, be it like you want to get better at marbling, be it like you want to experiment with splatter, like have a purpose and then focus on that. I am 100% guilty of not following these rules that I set for myself, like half the time. And I just experiment and I'm like, why is this looking like trash? And then I go like, yeah, maybe it's because I tried like 4 different new things on a single cap that it doesn't look good. So experiment with a purpose. And then, I mean, I think after that is, I would say like, mostly like reach out to people, you know, like talk on Zbot, like don't be scared, like to write a message. Like me personally, I'm usually pretty fast at answering messages in general. Sometime it'll happen. Like if you message me on sales day with like a question about like casting, there's a very good chance your DM is going to get buried like within like a wall of questions about proxy shipping and whatever. So like maybe don't message me on sale day, but like any other time of the week, I'm usually like, I'm pretty chatty.
Mm. I really like what you say. Experiment with a purpose. It's like having a hypothesis and then testing it out
Right.
instead of just randomly throwing things together and seeing what happens.
Yeah, because if you practice with a purpose, that's how you get better. Because you're actively pursuing to get better at something very specific instead of kind of like mindlessly going through the motions.
Yes. And another thing you mentioned was reaching out to people, which I've noticed seems to be an emerging theme throughout your journey, where looking over your portfolio that's constantly growing, you have collaborated with so many other makers in the sphere. And not only that, you talked about connecting with Glenn. I've seen the collaborations you've done with Crash and Square Minus for your branding and stickers. And I was wondering if you could talk more about that, if you have
specific... hell yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
I love all of these guys. Square he did like such an amazing job with the branding and like the odd graphics that he do for me every now and then. The website mostly also. I mean, so Jesse did all of the graphic, most of the front end, and then Hippo, which is our common friend, did all of the back end and like the fixing the stuff that I broke.
Yes,
and he still does to this day. And then Crash. So Crash actually reached out to him very early on. Like I think it was like a month after my sale. I was like, hey, like, how does it work? Like, do you like only do like, do you take commissions, or like do you only like work with people that you like, that you vibe with or whatever? Like, how is it and stuff? So it was like, oh no, I take commissions. I have a wait list right now. If you want to get on the wait list. I was like, yes. And then, well, next thing you know, the timing was perfect because it turned out to be my turn when a little bit after things started to get a bit more like striking a bit more interest. And oh man, like this guy, he's so good. Like I gave him a wall of like, and you gotta upload the guy because I gave him a wall of text, like literally, like I read him like a story, and I'm like, this is the character, this is what's happening, this is what it is, like just whatever, do something. Like, and then after that, I just let him do his thing. Like, I wanted someone's interpretation of like the story I was trying to tell. And I mean, you could ask him. I'm usually like, I'm very, like, I have a very good idea usually of what I want, but I'm also very good at letting other artists express themselves. Like, I treat collaborations like I would like it to being treated if I collaborated with someone else. Like, if, like how I would appreciate to have the liberty of making a decision about something that I thought would look better. So yeah, so that's how I've been working with Crash. I mean, like usually I have nothing to say about anything. Like he sends me the sketch usually, and I'm like, dude, that's so sick, it's perfect. Like I love it. Like the only one we had to mess around a little bit with was the second sticker, the one with the wormhole. Just because we had to find a way to not make the sticker gigantic and still like portray like the scene he had drew, because like the scene that he drew was insane, but we had to like cram it into like a trapezoid like shape. It turned out nice though. It's really nice. And then,
go on.
And then he did a third one recently.
Oh, I saw the first two that you shared on. Actually, I've seen I think 3 of them that you shared on your Instagram account, and I'm curious if you could share the story for your dread sculpt in that first sticker design.
Right. So initially there was no story. Like when I first sculpted like Dread, I wasn't like necessarily like, I didn't have like a specific concept. I kind of made a concept like after the initial sculpt, and then everything that comes after that is sort of part of that crazy world. The idea of Dread is like this guy that went to Vegas with his friend for like a bachelor party, like hangover style, gets fucked up, wakes up like in a dumpster inside of a garbage bag. We don't know why. Maybe he got into like some beef with the mafia, whatever. Who knows what happens? He crawls out of the garbage can. There's shit everywhere. He's dirty. Then there's a gigantic wormhole that suddenly appears on the wall next to that trash can. He gets sucked in it, and then as he go through the other side, he can start like to like feel like his inner like demons trying to come out, and that's altered ego, you know. Like so, you can see sort of like he starts to transform and then take over as well. The takeover where like the beast like overtakes him,
yes.
and whatnot. So that's like the idea. Yeah,
the progression.
Everything. Right, and then right now I'm actually reworking Wormhole. I'm doing it 1.5U Wormhole. That looks pretty cool right now. I've teased a couple of pictures. I'll say one. So the idea with that one is also to do and it's also to have an end cap. So the outer shell is
that's tight.
Pretty much sculpted.
Yes.
Right now.
So hearing your story of Dread's journey from the dumpsters of Vegas through the wormhole and then expressing these demons, I'm looking at a picture of the most recent sculpt that I see in the form of Takeover. And man, as soon as I saw this, it really struck me. I was really impressed. Both the detail and quality of the sculpt and the way you're casting it with the variety of colors, casting techniques, all the combination. And can you tell me more about the process for creating that? Because from my understanding, it was a collaboration with Pizza, right?
Yeah, so Pizza sculpted this for me. Well, it was sort of like this, like a similar process that we did with like Crash and like Jesse, where I kind of gave him a very, I think with Pizza it was maybe a bit more broad. But he kind of had a grasp of what I wanted already when I talked to him. So I gave him like the broad ideas of what I wanted, and then so he had the first iteration, and then from there we tweaked until it fitted like kind of image I had of the beast. It turned out super sick. Like Pizza's insane. Like he sculpted that thing in like a week, not even. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's really hard to translate the time it takes to create something and the quality. But nonetheless, you guys did a phenomenal job realizing with your idea and then Pizza realizing it in the sculpt.
But it's so hard to cast.
Oh my, I can only imagine.
It's so hard to cast. It's like, I do it for the people, honestly. Every time I have to cast Takeover, I'm like,
how many shots does it take?
Well, for a very basic one, it'll still. So usually, what I'll do is that I'll do one shot will be the teeth. So one shot will be the teeth, and then usually I also, at the same time as the teeth, I'll do the pustules and most likely the swirls.
When you said you were, oh sorry, go on.
Yeah, so that would be one shot.
When you said you would be able to pour the 12 teeth in one shot, is that for only one sculpt, or are you able to do that for multiple sculpts?
I do 12 at a time.
12 keycaps.
Yeah.
Man, you were working fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I work fast, and I also let the resin go way past its cure time. Like doing 12 takeovers probably takes 25 minutes. I would say.
Cold Montreal.
Yeah, cold Montreal. Sometimes I'll remix batches. Also, like whenever I do teats, I mix only like 50 grams of resin, so it takes a long time before it actually starts activating because the mass is so small. That's also like a nice cheat.
Yes.
That you can do to stretch
your time.
Yeah, exactly. If you mix big batches, it'll cure faster. So if you need something that's a bit where you need a bit more headroom, just mix smaller, or mix big and split. That also works. I do everything with the scale, so like doing like half a gram is not like difficult, but yeah. So that's one thing, and yeah, I mean, like I wasn't able to do it. I've actually explored like many ways of doing the teeth on takeover. In the beginning, what I would do is I was resin writing the gum all around, and then I would just like pour resin into the teeth.
Oh, I see. Instead of doing one by one.
Exactly, but then that led to a bunch of issues where if the thickener is not like mixed properly, then you can have like these pits where like the fume silica didn't like fully mix, so you have like pitting in your caps, and that was happening a bit too often. So lately I've been doing them one by one. At first I was doing maybe like 3 or 4 at a time. And then I don't know, like I'm just very good at like repeatable like movements. Like I just get into a zone, like, and I go like ting 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 ting, and I'll do that. I'll do them all. So 12 is my max.
Favorite right now. Love.
Yeah. Now takeover is probably minimum like it's a minimum of like 5 shots. I would say.
Oh, that's reasonable. Shots. It's just precise and you have to move fast.
Exactly. It's mostly that the shots are time consuming because it's a lot of little details that you need to fill. So it takes time. And then after that, well, it depends. Like you'll see like some colorways like are a bit more eclectic. Those are usually a bit faster just because I don't try and be as neat. Like Chaos Theory is a good example of that, where it's not meant to be like a very neatly casted cap. So like I'm not trying to get the teeth perfectly like clean and everything. So those are nice because they're a bit more forgiving. But I don't like doing that too often because then it kind of feels like a cop out where I'm just trying to like save myself time. So I'll hurt myself and like do a complicated version like right after.
Make up for it.
Yeah, I always tend to do that. Like I'll be like, oh, I'll never do this again, and then like 3 weeks later, I'm like, okay, I want to do it again. Then
bring it back.
Yeah, bring it back. I said last time I said that was with when I did the split monochrome black and white dread. I was like, never again am I doing like split half and half. 2 weeks later, look at Analog Dream. It has a split. I was like, okay.
Man, those are so sick. The colorways, it comes out so clean too.
Which ones?
Your split monochrome.
Yeah, honestly, they turned out pretty nice. I had a bit of issues where like I've been told that some of them like had like little grains that like popped out. I think it's pitting, probably because like back then I was just like starting to like work with fillers, so that kind of sucks. That sucks a little bit, but yeah, for the most part, I think they were nice. It was definitely challenging. Plus, I did those in the summer, and like resin writing in the summer is not the way to go. At least not here. It's too freaking warm.
It's down your time even more.
Yeah, it's mostly that my climate is very humid, so like in the summer, like 326 plus filler plus humidity, like just it foams like crazy.
Or just the bubbles.
Yeah. In like 5 minutes, it started being like super foamy. So it's like super hard to work with during the summer. So that was a lesson learned this summer. I mean, we still did some decently complex stuff over the summer, but since it's been getting colder, I've been going a bit more crazy.
I hear that. Yeah, I'm excited to dive into my garage and start messing around. I have a few new sculpts that could have more potential to try resin writing. So
Hell
once I
yeah.
get that heating pad, I'm gonna dive in. I'm curious to ask about your brand. You mentioned you had the story that developed after you
Yeah.
made your first sculpt and honored it with your dread cap. And I was curious to ask where the name Dreadkeys came from.
I don't even remember to like truth be told. I like I've been into like I I've been a metalhead like pretty much since forever. So I mean I listen to a lot of stuff right now, but like most of my high school days were I was listening to like Children of Bottom and like Anthrax and like hardcore like obscure like hardcore band and whatever. I mean I still do to this day. And although like I'm not a big fan of like horror movie in general, just because I get like I scare for like everything, but I like horror novels, like Stephen King, or like we have a very prolific French Canadian writer Patrick Senecal that does a lot of like really gory like horror like thriller type of novels. It's also very good. And like so I knew I wasn't really looking to get into the whole like cute scene. That wasn't really like for me. So I started looking. I was like, okay, can I do something that would be like sort of like spooky, but not necessarily like full on like horror kind of thing, like full on terrifying. That's kind of how I got to it. And then I was just like spinning names, and then Dreadkeys kind of sounded good. The domain was available. I was like, okay, why not? That this shall be it. Yeah, that's how that came to.
One thing you kind of mentioned before was like nurturing this motivation or desire to explore new ideas, whether it be pursuing excitement or inspiration you've seen from other people. And I was curious how you think about writer's block, the equivalent of what writer's block would be for new ideas.
Yeah, it's inevitable for sure. I mean, I think every like writer block can like manifest in like many ways. I would say like it can be that you literally have no idea what to do, like are not inspired or something, or sometimes it's just that everything you do just doesn't work or doesn't satisfy you or something. Like to me they're kind of both the same in a way, and that's usually when I experiment the most. But also that's probably a habit that comes from my time as a chef. But when I didn't know what to cook, I would usually look for inspiration in anything but food. Like I'll go walk around, do like I don't do as much photography as I was a couple years ago, but I've always liked to do architecture photography, like posing buildings, because like it's a bunch of shapes, textures, and whatnot, and it's very it's very similar to like how you build a plate. Like when you build a dish, like you're looking for texture, colors, shapes, height, like contrast, like it's all the same, right? Like it's the same that you look for the same thing when you do pictures, like you look for the details, the grain, the color, the contrast, the textures, like in the walls, like contrasting with like the smooth face of someone or like whatever, you know, whatever it may be. It's all very similar, and my caps are the same, you know, like the splatter, it gives like, I like things that look organic, you know, like when things look, because sometimes there's a misconception, like I don't randomly throw shit everywhere, like some people seems to think that I do. Like everything is splashed at an angle in a place with a purpose, you know, like to achieve a specific look. So like it's kind of the same again, you know, like where you cannot really play with the texture as much because you're set into your mold, right? So unless you've like preemptively like made your cap like texturized in a bunch of different ways, like you can't really play with that. But you can play with the texture of the color. Like you can mimic like a texture by, you know, like that's a technique that we do a lot with like painting miniatures, but you stipple paint on to give like a hammered look.
What's stipple?
Stippling is like, you know, when you take a brush and you just go like, you just poke and then you poke.
Yes.
Like you stipple.
Kind of like pointillism, but with the whole brush.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go and then you can build texture that way because you just do it with like very thin paint, and then you gradually add like the sort of uneven, like hammered sort of organic look. And in general, your brain processes things that look organic as more real. Like when you look at, you know, like when you paint a miniature and sometimes you look at these like crazy non-metallic metal with like painted reflections, and it's insane. No, it looks so real. Those takes hours to do. So a good way to make a miniature look real without investing as much time is to paint by texturing the surfaces so that those things look like something that could be made like a real material, you know, and then your brain kind of does the rest.
Instead of just flat, there's more dimension to it.
Exactly. So like even if it's not perfect, when you look at it, like you interpret it as like you're like, damn, like that's pretty fucking, like that's cool.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an interesting way this all works. And I mean, my plating style was very organic. Like I used to throw things on the plates, and like you kind of let the first dominoes fall, and then you build from those positions. Like that's the idea. So when I go a bit more crazy, it's kind of the same thing. Usually like the first stroke is going to be like completely random, and then everything else kind of falls into place because of that initial decision. I mean, that's a good way to like break writer's block, is to just explore other disciplines, like other art disciplines, like inspiration to be found in anything.
I love that. I was just talking with one of my friends who paints in oils, and was mentioning when he was starting out, he was reading these books on composition. Mm-hmm. And immediately my thought was, oh, how does this idea of composition apply to other aspects? I was talking with another friend, and it's like the idea can be applied to photography, to film, even to color placement and keycaps. And when you say that you can look for inspiration in arenas outside of, be it keycaps or food, I think that's just a beautiful piece of advice.
You'll see that very rarely artists are like, I have only like one discipline they dabble into. At least like the people I've interacted with, like I think keycaps is a good gateway for people that didn't I mean, some of us have extensive like art backgrounds. Like most, like the Asian makers are all freaking insane. Like most of them are. I either have like formal training and or like have been like doing their things for like their entire life kind of thing. But like here, the Western maker, at least like in the obvious, and like obviously, like I don't mean to generalize by saying that, but like there are very few people, I think at least, that seem to have been like into prior art disciplines before jumping into keycaps. It's like their stepping stone into dabbling with art, which is amazing. But then that's why I say that my one of the best thing you can do is just look at other kind of art. Just do other things. Like try painting, try drawing. If it's not for you, try photography, like try filmmaking, try hell, like cooking. Like
cooking, yeah. Yeah.
Cooking is hard too. It's a different medium, and that's what I've always said. Like every plate is like an ephemeral art piece, like you make it and then 5 minutes, like 30 minutes later, it's in the toilet. Like
yes.
But it's
right,
like,
right there.
But like every time you do a plate, it's like you're signing like your canvas, right? You're like, all right, go. This one is good. It's out. Again, I mean, I doubt people that works at In-N-Out see it that way. But if you go into the upper echelon of like fine dining, yeah, then you can make the parallel.
I hear you.
Even then, I mean, some people are burger artists, so some people do crazy shit with burgers. So
yeah, maybe the In-N-Out burger makers or the fries makers are in their own world creating some masterpieces.
I mean, to be fair, I'm sure there are some people that probably are. Like that's why it's hard to say something.
I hear you when you say that.
Like you're trying to generalize like an opinion, but yeah. So that's why I say like that. I'm always surprised like when people like tell me that they don't experiment that much. Like there are like genuinely people that they just don't experiment too much, and I'm like, well, like why? I don't. And then I mean, I think everybody has like some people some people just didn't think about it. Some people the maybe like being scared of failure. We'll take a piece of advice from Tex on that one. Fail upward. Like honestly, like that thing. This is like the most true things you can say. Like it's fine to fail as long as you learn something from your failure, right? If you fail and you learn nothing, then it's pointless. But if you fail, figuring out what you need to do to not fail again, then it's amazing, right?
Yes.
And that goes down to like that goes back to the like experimenting with a purpose.
Yes, I was going to connect those. I think Tex said it so well with his model of failing upward. And I hear you as you're cultivating your practice and directly translating your experience as a chef, where you have this desire to create things and you're gathering inspiration from many different places. Plus you're faced with maybe the resistance or the pushback from when you do fail, and then going on to translating or creating your visions after that. Like,
I'm definitely my own worst critics.
Oh, that's a demon in itself. I hear you on that. One thing that you said too was how you recognize that many people can have or other inspiration from other aspects if they're creating, be it from going on a walk and noticing architecture or finding other pursuits, be it painting or drawing. And I was just reading, or rather I was listening to an interview of Josh Waitzkin, and he has background in chess and martial arts, and he's a constant learner. And one thing he states is that he's on this journey towards unobstructed unobstructed self-expression, where it's just the idea is, if we believe everybody is creative, everyone has this desire to create or realize ideas, be it into the material world or digital world, to be able to express oneself purely with no obstruction, is his ultimate goal. And I hear when you say that, that can apply to basically any field, be it keycaps, cooking, etc.
I think so, yeah. It's kind of the dream, right? Like creating without like any roadblock, you know, like be it from yourself or other people. But then I don't know, you know, like out of the roadblocks, usually that's where like great things usually like emerge from. So like I think it's a double-edged sword kind of thing. Like if you have like complete freedom all the time with like people always like saying it's great and blah 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 blah, then there's no progression. And then if you don't have progression, then would you actually keep interest into what you're doing, or would you be looking to do something else? Because usually I think creative people are not people that can be held into one mold. Usually like everything always feel like a constraint at some point. And then you look for something else, like to go above that constraint, and then you'll get another one. And then that gets you through over the next hurdle kind of thing. And that's how you grow. So like to imagine like a world where there's never anything in your way, it sounds like I would get bored pretty fast.
I hear you. And constraint was the exact word that came into my mind. If you think about the opposite of your freedom, it's complete constraint. You're restricted. And there are different ways to think about it, where, as I hear you say, is if you have no constraints, completely free, and what does that mean for the potential to grow? Like you don't have any barriers to overcome. And that could in itself be a limit.
Yeah, for sure. If you can always like do anything, and there's like never anything that come and challenge you, you know, like a good example, you know, like we can go back to when I started. Like when I started, like people were saying that like my initial sculpt looked like a watcher. That was that was a thing. I mean, like I'll be fair. Like I had not seen actively I not like actively pursue like looking for a watcher. Like I didn't really know what it was. But looking back, like can I really say that I had never seen one like scrolling down on Mech Market? Like that'd be a lie. Like I probably saw one. Just maybe I wasn't like actively paying attention to. But you know, like the subconscious is a very strong thing. Like sometimes you'll just see things and then you're doing something and then you don't see it and then somebody points it out. And then, well, I mean, like every good artist, I was in denial first.
I like that.
And I mean, like looking back on it, I can definitely see. But then it was actually a message that our Mendes had sent me that kind of made me just want to rework slightly like my initial sculpt. And that's where like the paranoid eye came in. And I mean I did like a bunch of modifications from that, but that was one thing, you know, like I had made something, people had criticized it, and then I could have ignored it, which I did for a while. And then you realize that it might just be a good opportunity to grow, you know, like to actually build upon what was all right, you know, and like make it something that's more your own.
Yeah, I think this really ties into something we were talking about before we recorded, where you were sharing the themes for the restaurant industry around sharing knowledge, growth, and competition. And I was wondering how you think and how that applies to your approach to keycaps.
I think it's very... So there are many things I think that I took from my approach in the restaurant industry that I bring to what I do now. One of them, I mean, well, when you were talking about the sharing the knowledge and everything, like, I mean, I can sound polarizing on that, but like I'm all for like sharing knowledge. Like personally, like I you're only as good as like you can only be as good as like what other people around you produce, right? So like to have better makers will inevitably, at least if you care, push you to try and be a better maker yourself. So like I don't understand the gating of knowledge. Like that's something that's a bit like strange to me. Like coming from the restaurant industry, like you come to the restaurant industry, like you learn something from a chef, like you learn it for life, right? Like nobody's like telling you, no, you cannot like teach that to a cook or whatever. Like it doesn't work that way. I'm not saying it does, like in the keycap, but in the keycap world, but it does seem like at least newer maker are afraid to ask questions. Maybe like to people that have been around for a bit longer. Me being like an experimenter, it's not something that has like blocked me from anything. But like I don't know. I try to at least for the things that I taught myself and that I experimented, I have zero issue into like sharing what I know. Like I don't think that me teaching someone else how to do splatter or how to do whatever will be a detriment to my career and to what I do. Like what's the worst that's gonna happen? I'm gonna start making cool shit too, or like cooler shit. Like not saying that it was not cool to begin with. That's not what I meant. But like you're like maybe you start doing like cooler shit than he's ever been, and that's fucking sick because then you're gonna go like, damn, like this is cool. I want to do something like that too. And that's how you get better. If like why would you try to tame like the mass of maker? Just like let them go loose, and then it's on you to make sure that like that you stay relevant, right? Because then again, it ties into something we said earlier, but realistically, you are the only one that's kind of responsible for what you put out. And then how people will perceive what you put out goes right back to how much effort you've put into something, or how much you try, or how much you experiment. Like it's not because like it's not going to be because of nightcap that you're not successful. Like they have nothing to do with that. Like you know what I mean? Like it has nothing to do with it. Like you're the master of your own destiny. Like sometimes it sucks. It takes longer. There are makers that don't know the grind. Like they release a sculpt and they get like 500 entries like day one, bam, like instant hit. Like that comes with a different kind of pressure, right? Because after that, you have the pressure to repeat, right? Like to do it. So it's in and out of itself. Like I'm not saying that there's no pressure. Like it is a pressure. It's just a different kind of pressure. But like when you have to start from, like, and it's so sad sometimes because like there are so many talented makers that should that deserve like get like better visibility and more entries, and like so that's why sometimes it's kind of like you gotta ask yourself like why me, right? Like what does it make it? Like I think for me at least it comes down to my never-ending quest of trying to push myself every cell. like I try to never be complacent. At least that's how I try to be. That's why like sometimes you'll see like if you go through my feed, usually when I get on a vibe and I'll do like a certain style for like maybe 2, 3, 4 sales, and then like I'm gonna go like a complete 180 and do something completely different and try something else. And like lately I've been messing around a lot more with like resin writing, which is not something that I was confident with until not so long ago. And even then, like I think that can still be massively improved.
Yeah, I hear that. Really highlighting, as you said before, taking ownership of the ability for you, the ability for me, the ability for oneself to realize their own destiny, as you say, their own decisions and the successes, the failures, the consequences of those decisions.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like a good example would for me would be Dread. Like, you know, like when I released Dread, you know, I was an hobbyist, you know, I was just making caps like for fun, and then I mean, like there was not like a crazy amount of interest or anything. You know, like it was nothing like really special back then. Like I wasn't doing anything special, but then like people started noticing the color work, and then next thing you know, like the new sculpts, and then like believe it or not, but like I get as many entries for Dread that I get for Takeover. Like people are like under the impression that like Takeover is like massively like superior in terms of popularity, but like it really is not. Like Altered Ego, Takeover, and Dread are all relatively like the same. Like it depends on colorways. Like sometimes like Takeover will be a bit higher, then sometimes Dread will be a bit higher if it's cool. Like so people have, you know, like my Dread didn't become better than it was when I first released it. I became better at making it, right?
Yes.
That's what people now like acknowledge. Not the fact that Dread is a good or a bad sculpt. Like that's irrelevant. That's like irrelevant in to me in this situation. But they acknowledge the work.
Mm-hmm.
In general.
Yeah, I think that goes to your intention with creating these colorways, these designs, and having multiple canvases to experiment with and apply those, be it with the multi-shots with your Takeover sculpt, or having maybe a more free-form approach or more options rather with your Dread cap. And I love what you say where it's the sculpt hasn't changed. It's you as an individual who's been growing.
That's partly a lie though. I did resculpt it like a month ago, but up until I resculpted it.
Yes. Yeah.
It hadn't changed.
Yeah. Man, that's great. I guess this might be a good point to start wrapping up. And I always kind of like to end these just with some reflection. Mm-hmm. And I was curious for you, looking back when you first got started out with artisan keycaps, if you had any specific goals or expectations when you were getting started.
I mean, yes and no. No. I was like, I didn't set myself an expectation that I wanted to succeed or be a successful artisan maker. And that was not something that I was like striving for, that was like actively pursuing. Although I did, after my first sale, I did tell Tex, I was like, you know, I mean, if I could do this for a living, I'd do it. But I was more like of a, man, you know, like a wishful thinking, kind of like, oh yeah, I mean, like if I had the opportunity, like why not? Like that could be like that seems like fun. So no, I didn't get into this like telling myself like, okay, like I need to succeed. And also like that's such like a toxic mentality to put yourself into. Like to get yourself into a sphere wanting to succeed, and then when you don't, it's like, man, like it feels like rap, like, or if it takes a long time, or if you get like a roadblock, like that's all those things, like it's not easy. Like, I don't know how you are, but every time I don't press a button now because the website does it automatically, but I'll use the imagery of pressing the open form button on the Google form. Like every single time I'm nervous, like every time I'm like even though like numbers have been stable, things have been good. Like I can't complain. Like I've received tremendous support like this last year. But every single time I'm like, fuck man, like when is it gonna be my time to like go to the to the bin of like has been not cool anymore kind of thing, right? Yeah. So that's what drives me to then like try and do something cooler the next time, right? So yeah, that's my mindset mostly. But then yeah, no, I would just say to people like do it for fun, man. Like things like all things in life, things need to be fun. If you don't have fun doing something, it shows. Like they say food tastes better when it's made with love, and it's true. Like you can taste it in the food. That's when someone hates his job, like when he doesn't like it because the seasoning is not going to be on point. There's going to be vegetables that are probably not perfectly cooked because he doesn't fucking care. Like, and like you can see, and it's the same in art, like if you're having fun, if you're exploring things, like people see that. You can see it in the work. If you're feeling more like a business, I think it puts off people maybe a little bit. Like, or at least if you establish yourself as is from the get-go. Like I sort of stumble into becoming a business kind of thing, but like I still see myself. I'm just a maker, like I'm in my basement. I have a table with like some IKEA shelves, and like I make keycaps, like the thing, like and I have fun doing it, and sometimes I don't have fun doing it, and that's when I don't cast for a couple of days, and then I go to the other part of my basement and I do some woodworking, and then I go back to casting.
I hear that. Even through the medium of resin casted keycaps or photography, people who appreciate that can still see the intention, be it positive or negative, behind the creator, the maker, and everything they make.
I think so. I mean, maybe it's not like this. Maybe not everyone sees it that way. Like, at least I know I do. I can see, and like obviously, right? Like these are all interpretations and like sort of personal take on things. But like, I think I can see when you look at someone's work where someone is either conflicted or maybe like doesn't really like it, or is like feeling like he's struggling, I don't know. Like it just kind of shows.
I've noticed that within myself too. It's like if I'm feeling less motivated or have less reason to make, it's like I get a lot more withdrawn. I kind of step back from the making aspect and aspects of the community. And I've noticed like with this podcast, this project, being able to meet other people and like hear your perspective today has been so much more enriching than I ever would have imagined. And it definitely refreshes it. Yeah. So I appreciate your time, man.
Also, me, that's another big thing I think that's been part of like my success. But my Discord, like I'm pretty active on my Discord community, and like people are like talking all the time nowadays in it, and it keeps growing. And I just talk with people and asking the people what they want. Like this actually was a great idea from very like a good friend of mine. Like I speak with Winkeys pretty much every day. I would say like we've been like bouncing ideas off each other. I mean, like there's other people. Like we have this like group of discussion with like Tex and a few other makers that started like around our time. Snug is in there. Mastodon. Mastodon is like one of, and Snug actually too, for that matter. Like, and I'm probably gonna piss off other people by not saying everybody, but like everybody in that discussion group is way deserving of attention. To be honest, they all make super cool shit, and like, and it just sucks sometimes. You're like, you see like super talented people, and you know, like I don't know, like maybe things are not going their way, or it's
you're not getting the recognition you think they deserve.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-mm. I think that kind of ties in with the theme of what you said. It's like regardless of critics' feedback for your dishes that you may share, create, it's still opportunity to grow and make, and maybe you can give credit or heed their advice, and or rather their criticism, constructive or not, or just double down on what your own beliefs are.
I mean, you know, like when something doesn't work, there's many ways you can approach it, right? You can quit. I mean, that's like the easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
But it is okay, you know. Like some people, like if it is not working out for you and it makes you like genuinely like unhappy or something, then I think that might be the best decision. I mean, just like it was for me and cooking, you know, like at the end, it was making me, you know, when you work into a field that's very passionate, there's always this love-hate relationship with what you do. Like that's just the nature of passion, you know. Like one day, like you love it, the next day you want to fucking like burn it down to the ground. It's just how it is. And then I always told myself that as long as I would be happier than I was unhappy with my job, I would keep doing it. And then at the end, I was mostly unhappy, so I quit. So I was like, okay, like this is like not doing it for me anymore. And I think that at that point, it's okay. But if I had quit when my first critic came out 10 years ago and they said my food was trash, then looking back today, I would regret it. I'd be like, why did I quit? Like, why? Because like one person didn't like like what I did. That seems like a cop out to me. But then sometimes you also have to accept that if you're doing something that you know that you genuinely think is good, that is arguably good, and it's not working, then maybe use your talent and apply it to another idea, you know, like to something else that could work. Maybe explore different concepts.
Yes, I hear that. I mean, that definitely hits me.
And yeah, I mean, that's a bit. It's a bit.
Oh, no, yeah. I think
harsh
that was,
note, Sean. But
no, I don't think that was harsh at all. I think you were providing your own insight and it's off of your own experience. And I mean, maybe it's divisive, maybe it's not, and I think that's up to every perspective who hears it. And
yeah, right. I think
your own. Yeah.
Yeah, I think some people will relate, some people won't. I mean, that's fine in a way, but I would think most people would relate to that. And also like another thing, but like we haven't even touched like about like pricings and whatnot, but like
oh yeah,
I have seen like a lot of new makers that will like drop onto the scene, like first sale, bam, like $75 like for a cap, and then like it won't necessarily go as well as they thought it would, and then they don't understand, like they're like, why? And it's like, you know, like there's people, it's like it's such an arbitrary number, like, you know, like how do you price an artisan? Like, how do you price it? Because like realistically, you don't, it's like the thing that costs like money is mostly your time. And it all comes down to how much you value your time, but also how much your customers value your time and your skill set. So I think to me that as a new maker dropping his first colorway, you are not doing yourself a favor by going like right away for, you know, like the top end of the price spectrum. I mean, like hell, like even I like my release go from like $50 to like 75 bucks. Like simple things are going to be 55 US. I mean, I price in Canadian because I'm from Canada, but like if you do the exchange rate on my pricings, like my most expensive things, like a takeover is like 75 bucks. And it didn't even felt wrong in the beginning, because I've always wanted to. So that's one thing that I strive is that, and I think my customer like appreciate. So I try to give a sense of value into what you're getting. Like, like 55 bucks is a lot of money. You know, like when you think about it, like it's a lot of cash. Like 50 bucks, 60 bucks, 70 bucks. Like it's a lot of money. Like I understand that some collectors have the means, but some don't. And like so for me, it's important that when you trust me with that $60, I want you to receive something that will make it feel like it was worth it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why I've been keeping my prices low. And also just because, I mean, I don't know, like I'm happy where I am right now. Like there's no reason to change it. And I have a great community where people are actually trying to help each other complete sets that they're looking for, like not being overly eccentric with resale prices. Like people like are actually like trying to help other community member to like get what they want at like reasonable like prices, which at the same time, well, I mean, allows me to keep prices low, you know, because like, I mean, let's not kid ourselves, but like if people are reselling your cap $600, like I find it hard to justify keep on selling them at 50.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I don't want to sell my cap like $150. It doesn't feel right to me. So like, how did I sort of counteracted that is by trying to build the community in a sense that people are trying to not like scalp like every penny off of other community member, basically. And I mean, so far I think it's been pretty successful. Like there are like outliers, like certain like colorways, like EVA, that like people are just like
super hype.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't get it. It's nice. I don't get it.
I hear you about the challenge it feels to share what we create or what I create for certain pricings. And this is an ongoing discussion I've had where it's really questioning the value of each maker's time and how that translates to the caps, and the fact that you can create this community where people are openly helping each other complete these sets and clearly value your time and your creations is awesome to hear. I think this will be a good place to wrap up, where I like to close by asking you if you have any parting thoughts, advice, or requests that you'd like to impart with those who are listening.
Thanks to everyone who will be like, who have been like tuning in to listen to me ramble on for quite a while. Thank you for the support. Thank you, you for having me on. It was super fun, to be honest. I like to just like chit chat with like other maker. It's always nice, like there's always things that comes out either from like your own from your own thoughts or like the person you're sharing it with. So that's always fun. Experiment, people experiment. And then pour mes fans francophones, merci pour le support. On me dit tout le temps que je parle pas assez en français, donc voilà. Merci à tous. Thank you. It was a little French message for my French supporter that say I never speak in French whenever I do an interview.
There you go.
There you go.
Julien, it's completely mutual. I mean, I appreciate you making the time and sharing your ideas, and I really feel like we just scratched the surface. Where there's so many things.
Real, like if you want to chat, like just hit me up. I'm always down. I'm always down for sharing ideas and experimentation.
You'll definitely be hearing from me. And for anyone who's interested in following your craft or getting in touch, what is the best place for them to do that?
Well, I would say if you want to reach out to me, Discord is probably the easiest. I mean, you can message me on Instagram too. I'm a bit less responsive on Instagram these days, just because I mean, like, it just takes too much time to like answer on all the platforms. So I prefer Discord, but like IG, I will eventually get back to you for sure. My Discord for everything that's like teasers and leaks and whatnot. And then otherwise, if you're just like, you cannot be bothered to like follow at multiple places, I think the easiest way to follow the raffles would be on my Instagram. Raffles are every Wednesday at 8 p.m. East, unless I decide to skip a week. But usually every Wednesday we have some form of sale.
Yeah, check them out. And really, Julien, you've been constantly evolving and improving, and I'm excited to see where that takes you in the future.
Thanks. I'm excited too. We'll see. Like, I think the new wormhole is going to be one of those things that's going to be a bit different than what I've been doing so far. So I'm pretty excited with that one.
Bring the 1.5 views to the world.
Yeah, the 1.5 views.
Yes.
And also the 1.5 U end caps that is not an actual like keycap size.
Oh.
Like that is not a blank. I mean.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we'll be looking out. We'll be looking out. To everyone listening, again, I'll have links for all we talked about in the show notes at onceitclicked.com. And again, Julien, I really appreciate the time, and I look forward to hitting you up in the future on all of the Discord chats. And again, thank you to everyone in the audience for listening, and until next time, thanks for tuning in.